Where if you could just confirm that name is correct. Otherwise, give me your name and then let me know who you're representing here today. Whether you're part of the applicant team or development team, the owner, someone from the community, or anyone else involved with the project in any way. So I will start with Bob Carbon, who I know is with New Republic and is the applicant in this. Is that correct? Bob,
that is correct.
All right, great. Welcome. Graham Colby is also with New Republic. Welcome, Mr. Colby.
Thank
Colby,
you.
You're welcome. Mr. Ben Eilerman.
Yes, I'm with Over the Rhine Community Housing. We are co-developer.
Okay, great. Welcome. I see we have Wes Menzel here from the planning department. Welcome, Wes. All right, and then Matt Bourgeois.
Yes, we're with the ownership and development team, and I have Brendan Regan here as well.
Hello.
Is Regan R-E-G-A-N?
Correct.
Correct.
Okay. Welcome to both of you.
Thank you.
And it looks like we have Mike Fisher as well.
Yeah, I'm Mike Fisher from 8K, co-developer and general contractor.
All right. Welcome.
Thank you.
I have someone under the name Ashley.
Yes, Ashley Dingler with OTRCH as co-developer.
Okay. Welcome. Virginia's iPad.
Virginia Andrews, property owner.
Okay. Are you property owner, like a neighboring property owner?
2306 Vine Street.
Okay. Welcome. And someone under R Strunk.
Randy Strunk, a community member.
Okay. And when you say community member, are you do you live in the neighborhood or?
I work down the street,
Okay, gotcha.
across the street.
All right. On the applicant owner development side, are we expecting anyone else to join us here before we begin? Okay, great. Let's go ahead and do it. So I need to read through our hearing script. This will just cover the procedure for the hearing and then we'll begin. So this is the April 30th, 2025 session of the zoning hearing examiner docket. My name is David Sturkey. I'm the zoning hearing examiner for the city. I'll be presiding over the hearing today. The case before us is case number ZH20250037. That's 2323 Vine Street. The purpose of this hearing is to allow applicants and any other parties to testify and to offer and refute evidence and testimony. This hearing will follow the rules found in the zoning code or the supplemental rule and the supplemental rules of the zoning hearing examiner. All testimony and evidence that an applicant or any other party wishes to offer must be presented at this hearing. The hearing will proceed as follows. The applicant, the applicant's attorney, or the applicant's agent will first present the applicant's case. I'll then, and for that portion of the hearing, you all can orient that presentation however you would like. I know that there's a lot of folks here on the applicant's side, and so one of you can speak, all of you can speak. It's really up to you how you want to orient your presentation. Typically, you know, we'll hear background on the project, what exactly it is that you're proposing that goes in here, the zoning relief that's required in order to complete the project, and then, you know, why, you know, probably most importantly, why you think that zoning relief is appropriate. I'll then move to the public. So I think that we have two members of the public here today. I'll allow them to provide any testimony or ask any questions if they would like. I'll then move to Mr. Menzel from the planning department. He prepared a staff report in preparation for this this hearing today. And so if he would like to add any testimony to that staff report, I'll allow him to do that at that time. I'll then go back. Well, I'm sorry. In the event that any party testifies or offers argument in opposition to this application, the applicant will have an opportunity to respond to the testimony offered in opposition. And then finally, the applicant team will have an opportunity to provide any closing statements. After all presentations have been made, I will close the hearing. Decisions may be expected within 2 weeks. I may limit or exclude any testimony that I deem irrelevant or outside the scope of the application being considered. I may interrupt any speaker to ask questions or to make any comments. In the event of any technical difficulties with the Zoom technology here, I'll do my best to troubleshoot those issues on the fly. But to the extent there's some defect that prevents us from meaningfully going forward with this hearing, I may continue or postpone the hearing at my discretion. Okay. The last thing I need to do is just swear in all of our witnesses. So anyone that intends on providing any testimony at this hearing, asking any questions, making any comments, really doing anything other than just strictly observing. The zoning code requires that I swear you in prior to your testimony. So if you know now that you'd like to provide some testimony, you will be speaking during this hearing. If you could go ahead and take yourself off of mute. I'm going to collectively swear all of those folks in together. Also need anyone or everyone to turn on their cameras as well during this time. All right. So if you could all raise your right hand, I'll need you to answer out loud. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you shall provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Yes.
I do.
All right, great. Thanks, everyone. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and just ask everyone who's not speaking during the hearing, if you're not speaking, if you just keep yourself off of mute, just for clarity's sake here. All right, so turning it over to the applicant, who's going to be taking the lead here on the applicant's presentation?
This is Bob Carbon with New Republic. Just as an introduction to the proposed project, I was going to ask Ben and Ben Eilerman from OTRCH to give a description of what the project is as proposed.
Sure. So this project is a proposed 57 unit apartment building to be built in the Tough neighborhood, kind of coming out of over the Rhine, adjacent to Mount Auburn. It is a partnership between Over the Rhine Community Housing, 8K Construction, and Clifton Heights Community Urban Redevelopment Corporation. Matt Bourgeois is here along with Brendan Regan from Kachurk, and then Mike Fisher is here with 8K Construction. And so this project is the result of Clifton Heights doing a tremendous amount of work in the neighborhood to determine what the neighborhood wants to see and what is needed in the broader neighborhood, specifically the need for affordable housing. And so this project imagines bringing on these 57 units to be affordable to folks making less than 60% of the area median income, through with a variety of unit sizes from 3 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, 1 bedrooms, and efficiencies. On the site, we intend to provide robust tenant amenities, including an exercise and fitness room, laundry room, in addition to on-site or in-unit laundry hookups, as well as outdoor, both covered and uncovered space.
Thank you. Who else would
So
like
Bob,
to?
if you want to go ahead and run through the architecture.
Yes. David, do I need to share the drawings, or is that something that you handle on your end?
If you'd like to display them, I think it's better for you to share them.
Sure,
So you
sure.
control the cursor as you're talking about different elements.
Absolutely. Just pulling that up.
Sure.
Is that visible to all?
It is.
Okay, this is the drawing set that was submitted for this zoning hearing, and just to locate where the project is, um, in the aerial map, this is Vine Street running north towards Clifton and UC. On the east side of Vine is Inwood Park, and Polk Street is the intersecting street with Vine, where the project really takes place as proposed. 2323 is a larger vacant lot, and it's kind of located between two existing buildings. The overall project also includes, for this LIHTC project with OFA, this small building at the corner, which is 2323, that will be simply renovated for 2 apartments in that. And then the larger new build proposed is at 2323 with 55 units for the 57 that Ben was saying is the total count. The existing conditions, there's vacant land between these 2 buildings. Polk Street is down here between these 2. And as you can see, the site has quite a lot of slope, both in the north-south direction along Vine Street, but also east-west as it climbs the hill back to the western portion of the site, which is somewhat wooded. Another aspect of this proposal is that this 2315 Vine Street, the existing building at the corner of Polk, is also controlled, owned by Matt and Brennan. Tell me if I'm incorrectly stating anything, but owned by Clifton Heights Kirk.
That's correct.
So a key aspect of this project is, for the new build, there will be an easement agreement with this property to allow the garage structure in the back to be demolished, and a vehicular access off of Polk Street for very limited parking on the 2323 property, allowing for accessible parking and accessible access to the trash enclosure on this site. So what is proposed on the property is a new construction, 4 stories of wood frame over a slab on grade, which steps down to have a lower level just in this area, the south end of the building, which allows us to kind of deal with the steep grades across the site, and really trying to minimize the amount of soils that would be needing to be taken out. But that allows us to have the lower level is really just an entry point with an elevator in this new build. And again, the elevation was really just at a proposal stage. Was submitted to OFA as well, but this articulates a little bit that we're dealing with a basement or lower level entry point, and then most of the building is stepping up at the first floor to kind of get us at the first floor, kind of relating to the grade at the northern end of the building. David, do I need to walk through the various all the variance requests?
I mean, I think that would be useful here. I mean, ultimately, what you'd like to present is up to you, but I think it'd be helpful to discuss, on some level, what the relief is that's required here and why you
Yes.
think the relief is appropriate.
So these are variance requests after submitting to the zoning department and getting a adjudication letter stating the things that we need to address here. So variance request 1 is a cumulative cut fill relief on the site. Just because of the nature of this hillside site, as I was saying, it slopes quite a bit along Vine Street, but it also slopes greatly from Vine up the hill. As you can see, the 1 foot topo lines as we get to the western edge of the site. It's very a huge slope running east-west as well, the cross slope. And again, what we're trying to do is locate the first floor of all the dwelling units closer to the north end, so we're not having to cut and fill as much as we would if we had tried to lower the entire building. Having the main entry at the southern end of the building at a lower level, and then it would be 3 stories above that first floor.
Gotcha. So it looks like the total cumulative cut fill is going to be approximately 28 feet. Is that right?
Yes, I think that was what
Okay.
was calculated.
Okay.
And in
is that sort of gradually throughout the entire property? Is it going to be stepped up the hill, or how is that cut going to be done to protect the hillside stability?
yes, and that is addressed in one of the other variance requests. Pulling that up now. The main number 1 was about the larger aspect of having to cut and fill across the length of the building. But then there is another variance request 5, which is a cut fill relief about a creating a retaining wall at the north end and west side of the structure that would allow us to have windows for egress requirements, code requirements, light and air for the dwelling units across the whole first floor.
Gotcha. So how big is the cut to, in the back there you were just referencing, to create that flat space?
This is a just a site retaining wall, and it varies to a high point of about 15 feet at this corner, and it extends down. I'm trying to find I think it's down to about 4 feet where we're getting close to this end, and this is where we have the outdoor kind of outdoor plaza and covered patio area, which is another requirement for OFA.
But where on this diagram does the retaining wall start to extend above 8 feet?
This is the civil drawing, and it depicts the change in elevation from top of wall to bottom of wall. So again, here at the corner, it's about 15 feet. It drops pretty quickly to apologize. So here it's at about 4 feet. So it's really kind of minimal through this area. It's kind of just this last probably 50 feet of the wall that is more substantial and difference between top and bottom of the wall.
Okay. One of I know you're aware of this, Mr. Carbon. One of the standards I review with the hillside development standards is to avoid cuts in the hillside if they would leave cliff-like vertical slopes. Do you think do you think that you meet that standard here? Will there be cuts that create cliff-like vertical slopes?
No, I don't believe so. I think that this wall can be as minimal as we can make it for the requirements per code. But yeah, I do think it's necessary just because of the slope of the hillside back in this area.
Okay.
I think the intent of the retaining wall design as it interfaces with the slope is that the slope kind of meets the top of the wall and carries down the top of the wall. So we're not doing broad-based cuts and then leaving cliff face exposed. If that makes sense. I mean, we know we've all seen that around from time to time. I think I could see one up in Mount Adams. That's just terrible. So the idea is not to scar the hillside.
Okay.
Jump back to the other variance requests. Jumping back to variance request number 2 is setback relief for the building at the rear yard to a dimension of approximately 27 feet from property line. Variance number 3 is setback relief for the building at the 0 lot line along the Vine Street frontage. The neighboring buildings are all at their 0 lot line, and we feel that holding that urban edge across this site is an important gesture, but also because of the slopes, trying to keep from the western edge of the property. Variance request number 4 is a 0 landscape buffer along this northern property line. This, as I mentioned before, is the property here at 2315 will have an easement to allow for the curb cut and vehicular access for both parking and trash collection. And it's all in the intent of getting accessible route to parking and trash for tenants of the new build. But just with the amount of space here on this property of 2315, getting that 20-foot curb cut and having the landscape buffer as well would be tough to accomplish. And you have a hillside of vegetation just beyond the property as well.
Gotcha. So real quick, it's the parking area is there in the southwest corner there near Polk Street?
Yes.
Okay. And how many proposed parking spots are there?
We're proposing 4 parking spots.
Okay. And I understand that that's not actually that you don't need a variance or any special relief for the number of parking spots, correct?
Correct.
Okay. But you do need a variance for the location of that surface parking because it technically fronts Polk Street. Is that right?
Yeah, it was really about having a landscape buffer along this northern edge.
Yeah. Okay.
The next variance is request number 5. Again, it's cut and fill in relation to the retaining wall across this western edge of the building and then the northern edge of the building to create access as well as requirements for light, air, egress windows for dwelling units. Variance request number 6 is for parking in rear yard, which is again trying to accommodate accessible route to parking and trash on the property. So we're trying to also limit the amount of parking and how much of the rear yard is taken up by any kind of parking. Finally, request number 7 is for an accessory roof structure. In the OFA requirements, the outdoor space has a partially covered requirement, and just trying to meet that. So we will have an accessory roof structure in that area as proposed. Ben, do you or anybody else on the development team have anything to add?
I would just like to add some context to the space behind our building. To the west is actually an unused city right of way, and so there is effectively green space there, specifically as that relates to the zero landscape buffer and kind of that parking in the rear yard.
Sure, yeah, I can see that from some of the aerials here. Looks fairly wooded and steep and not used. I mean, so that, you know, in terms of the landscape buffer, I think that's makes a lot of sense. Okay. Anyone else from the development team have any further comments or want to add anything to the presentation here? Okay. We'll go ahead and move on to public comments. And I think I'll start with Virginia Andrews. Virginia, if you could unmute and start your camera for us.
I just wanted to listen in, and I saw where he said that he will be having garage parking. I'm not sure. Did I hear that? Garage parking under the building?
I don't think so, but I'll let the development team answer that.
Yeah, so right now along Polk Street, there's a small 2-car garage. And the intent is that that small garage will be demolished to allow us to add some additional parking behind the building right off of Polk Street.
Okay, so other than that, it won't be any off-street parking?
No.
Oh, okay. That's all I wanted to know. But it looks like something that the neighborhood needs. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Andrews. Appreciate your time, your testimony here today. Gonna move over to Randy Strunk.
I was just curious about the parking. Is it secure parking or any security at all with the parking? And how many parking spots will there be?
We have called for 4 parking spots in that back small parking area. There are, you know, with the trash enclosure as required and some of the landscaping requirements for that parking area, we kind of are limited to the number of spaces we can get on that.
Where do you envision people parking if they have cars, you know?
So I think it's the intent that the folks who would have cars would park on the street. There's parking on both sides of Vine Street, and we benefit from the fact that Inwood Park is across the street, so there's not kind of existing buildings and residents using that. Based on Over the Rhine Community Housing's experience owning and managing about 650 units, we find that typically about 30% of our tenants have vehicles. And then the parking would not be secure in the sense of a gate or anything like that. We would likely have security cameras that would monitor it, though.
Thank you.
Mr. Allen, I'm sorry if I missed this, but I think just based on some past knowledge, I might have an understanding of why less. Are these income restricted units?
They are. So this is a low-income housing tax credit project. We've submitted an application for it. And so all units would be affordable to folks making below 60% of the area median income. But we would have units that would be more affordable. So for folks making below 50% of area median income, and folks making below 30% of area median income. And then also to OFA, the Ohio Housing Finance Agency, who administers the low-income housing tax credit program, also has an allotment of 811 vouchers. So it's for folks who have developmental disabilities and have a kind of case management voucher, as well as support team. They're looking to place 11 folks here. And then the last thing I would add in regards to parking and residents is that we're really excited about the BRT that's set to come down Vine Street. And I'm sure everybody on this call can relate to the fact that it's hard to live in Cincinnati without a vehicle, but something like the BRT makes it more possible to do it.
Looks like Virginia wanted to add something else. I'm going to let her jump back in. Virginia, you get unmute.
Okay, I would like to ask, are seniors a part of this project?
David, are you all right if I just jump in?
Yeah, please.
Okay. So it's not age restricted in any way. There are projects that have an age restriction, like you have to be over 55. This is not one of those, but we certainly house a tremendous amount of seniors in our projects.
Okay. Okay.
David, if you take another comment, I'd love to add just a little bit more about the cut and fill.
Sure.
So just as sort of a high level, when we were approached for the project, we were pretty excited because it's a developable piece of land, but in Cincinnati, hillsides and sloping topography are a bit of a struggle. We were kind of thrilled that yes, it has some slope to it. Yes, it has some steep slope to it. Most of that was off the developable pad for the building. And it's just extremely hard to develop in the city of Cincinnati at scale, and we need housing. And so I think the design does pretty well to sort of address the slopes. We are a city of retaining walls. Retaining walls have been around since the city's been developed. I was just pulling up the Sanborn maps, and the hillside was held up by stone accessory buildings behind all these parcels at the turn of the century. So I think we've done a reasonable job of developing in hillside without and being a good steward of it.
Thanks, Mr. Colby. Okay, gonna turn it over here to Wes from the planning department. Wes, would you like to add anything here today?
Good morning. I don't have any additional comments in addition to the staff report. It's a reasonable design, reasonable requests, and we recommended approval for everything.
Okay, great. Wes, is this just a quick question? Is the parking requirements, is that, or lack of, is that born out of the Connected Communities legislation? Would there have been some parking requirements prior to that?
No. Yes. So that legislation adopted last summer, in this case, eliminated the parking requirement and also eliminated any density limits. So that, yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right. I don't think that I have any other questions right now. I'll turn it back over to the applicant team. You all can make any other comments you would like, or respond to any of the public comments, or make any closing remarks.
I think I'll just mention that we did get support from 4 different community groups that we reached out to about this. So that's the Cuff Neighborhood Association, the Clifton Heights Business Association, the Mount Auburn Community Council, and the Mount Auburn Development Corporation. Is that what the Mount Auburn Development Corporation? I did go back to the Mount Auburn Community Council once because they had a few follow-up questions, but all the other ones, we didn't have a ton of discussion. It was just kind of supported. I think we had 1 person abstain from the vote at Mount Auburn, but that was the only opposition.
Okay, great. Thanks. Anything in closing? No? Okay, hearing nothing. I think we will leave it at that then. I've had a chance to review the application materials in the staff report. Based off of that, based off the testimony that I've heard here today, I agree with the arguments of the applicant and the findings in the staff report. I think it would be impractical to strictly enforce the zoning code of this project. And so based on all of that, I am going to approve the application. I need to formalize that approval in a written decision. I know some of you are familiar with this process, but as soon as I finish that, I'll put it into a PDF and I'll email it to everybody who's in the hearing here today. So you all have a copy of that really just moments after it's complete. I'll do my best to get this to you as quickly as possible. I aim for 2 weeks, taking some leave after May 16th. So you will not get it later than that for my benefit as much as yours. As soon as you have that, you'll be able to, as Wes will be able to sign off on the zoning permitting, and hopefully you all can take the next steps at that point. Any questions about any of that or anything else we talked about here today? Okay. Mr. Strunk, anything?
No, thank you.
Okay. If you do have any questions between now and the decision being issued, please feel free to reach out to me. If you just want a status update on the decision, I'm happy to answer that or give you an update on that as well. Okay. Well, thank you all again. Good luck with the project, and